Off-Grid News welcomes you to the news that's not fit to print. I'm Rob. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, "I will freeze your bank accounts if you do not share and subscribe to this very funny channel." The weather conditions here at the Off-Grid are hazardous and extreme, with sleet and freezing rain accumulating rapidly. People in the area should have listened to Little House Off-Grid and acquired solar panels. Power outages are a certainty. Nancy Pelosi was asked about the $30 million her husband made from stocks he traded with her confidential information. She said, "Congress makes a disclosure every year." Of our financials. The court has no reporting. The Supreme Court has no disclosure. It has no reporting of stocks and transitions, and makes it important decisions every day. I'll use the word scandalous transactions that have happened in the judiciary. There's another consideration in the executive branch when they don't pay capital gains. This is as bad as the teacher. When the teacher asked little Johnny why he pulled Lisa's hair, and he said, "But Mike made a funny face at you when you had your back turned, teacher." Babylon Bee reports CDC director now says just do whatever Texas did 12 months ago with the mandates. "Yeah, we're pretty much wrong about literally everything. Sorry about that," said the CDC director, Rochelle Walensky. Adele was slammed for saying she loves being a woman during the gender-neutral awards show. Good thing Shania Twain wasn't at the awards show, because she feels like a woman. And I bet every guy would like to, well, you know. Pentagon says diversity, equity is the primary necessity for the U.S. military, leaving many vets to say maybe winning wars should be the only necessity since you haven't won one in 22 years. Yep, General Patton in Washington specifically addressed diversity and equity. Former President Barack Obama addresses the House Democrats to discuss midterm elections, which is normally the responsibility of the current president, worrying many that he is only adding to the country's concerns of the erosion of peaceful transition of power. Yep, I bet he figures out a way to run for election again. Who do you think will win, Trump or Obama? The number of people visiting cancellation page on Spotify increases 200%. No word on how many people visited the subscription page, because that would go against the mainstream narrative that everyone hates Joe Rogan for speaking his opinion. Former vice president candidate Sarah Palin is suing the New York Times for a libel trial when the New York Times reported that Sarah Palin was responsible for shooting death of Congresswoman Gabby Gifford. During Sarah's trial, the judge asked Palin if she danced, then pointed to his wife and said, "My wife is a dance instructor." Well, that proves it. Sarah Palin is a right-wing conspiracy nut job. They need to lock her up before she hurts someone, said New York Times at the trial. U.S. urges Canada to use federal power to end bridge blockade. Biden said if a convoy happens in the U.S. similar to Canada, he would not have a choice but to use F-16s and nuclear bombs to stop our truckers, because unlike Canada, U.S. truckers have guns. Nearly 60% of all Americans have disapproved of Biden's job performance. Biden replied by saying he is here for the minority. Millions of people registered with the Democrat Party to vote in the upcoming midterm elections. Registration centers were lined up with future voters all across the country after Biden administration announced he was giving away free crack pipes. One voter hoped that if enough people registered that Biden would give away free crack. "It's like we won the lottery, dude." New study shows that single people are discriminated against. Biden immediately announced that appropriations of lotion will be distributed to single people starting mid-year. White House records obtained by January 6th committee shows not one call from Trump during the protests between him and Republican Congressman members. Instead, people witnessed him giving the OK sign with his fingers and thumb, which is clearly an indication that he was giving secret instructions to the Congress members. The government-funded study shows wolves change behavior around bears. Well, that's brilliant. So do humans, and I didn't need a multi-million-dollar government grant to figure that out. Mary Trump said she will be removing her podcast from Spotify because she doesn't agree with Joe Rogan's assessment of the virus and the scientist he interviewed. That's pretty astonishing when you think about it. Mary Trump has a podcast whose only accomplishment is being a whiny niece of President Trump. A few weeks ago, Off Grid News gave the following public service announcement. Hillary Clinton, just in case you forgot, you'll be hearing more of her name soon. Told you so. Tax-funded National Public Radio NPR reported that if you use the yellow thumbs up emoji, you're a racist against all yellow people. So I want to give my personal apology to Bart, Lisa, Homer, and Marge for being insensitive using my yellow thumbs up emoji. Well, there's your tax dollars hard at work. Who cares what color emojis you use? I got bigger problems like paying the food bill. Satellite images shows pictures of people in Russia not living in fear. I want to thank 1954 Shadow for that joke. The White House announced they will be purchasing crack pipes to be distributed to crack users for free by a new startup company that Hunter Biden started a week before the program was announced. Again, I'd like to thank 1954 Shadow for that joke. Babylon Bee reports Biden goes double or nothing on national debt by placing $30 trillion on the Bengals. He said, my bookie, old Jiffy Dan, was a little hesitant to accept a $30 trillion bet, but I say, hey, to him, look, Jiffy, baby, if you hook me up, I'll pardon you for those illegal gamblings. The #1 rated ad on Super Bowl with Hunter Biden's new crack pipe company. Hunter and his dad, Joe Biden, made the ad together, distributing free crack pipes to the homeless in Inglewood, California, next to the stadium. A new study looked at 100 marriages and finds that the best thing a wife can do for her husband is hide the soy products. Oklahoma Attorney General says that doctors can prescribe horse medication to treat the thing I'm not allowed to talk about on this platform. After Canada said they would prosecute Americans who donate to the Canadian Trucker Freedom GoFundMe account, there has been a huge spike in reported identity theft in the United States. Coincidentally, all the people whose identity was stolen contributed to the Canadian Trucker Freedom GoFundMe account. What's the odds of that? Biden urges Americans to leave Ukraine as fears of Russian invasion mount. He said that he will not go send the military into Ukraine to rescue them because the strategy of leaving Americans behind worked so well in Afghanistan. Pfizer has pulled its FDA request to authorize the shot for kids under 5 by saying it will wait for the data on 3 doses because they make much more money on 3 doses. Ontario declares a state of an emergency over a trucker protest calling demonstrators an illegal occupation. And why don't they just arrest the protesters instead of stealing their gas? I mean, really, a few of them might even leave if they see you arresting their counterparts. This tells me it's not all that illegal. NBC reports the worst news in the nation. I mean, really, worse than the highest inflation since 1982. Even worse than Hurricane Katrina in 2006. Worse than any school shooting. This is terrible news. Abortions in Texas fell 60% in the month after restrictive Texas abortion law. Why do they think that killing people is a good idea? The world's upside down. The devil's in charge, I'm telling you. This is scary. CNN's Anderson Cooper and his partner Benjamin Massani announces the birth of their second child. Wait, what? How did that happen? These people deliberately try to confuse us. Bob Saget had multiple skull fractures and a virus when he died, even though police reported at the time of the discovery of his body that he had no physical injuries. Police said that his death was most likely a heart attack or stroke. I bet they were hoping we forgot about that. Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that inflation is expected to go above 7%. But not to worry, they expect to have inflation down to a manageable level before the midterm elections. She said, I don't care about people who have to pay the 7%, only that they get reelected. Sounds about right. But if we starve, there'll be nobody left to vote for them. Even though the cases of the virus are as high as they were when the virus hit the Northeast in the United States, has decided to let the mask mandates expire. This week after newly elected Republican governor of Virginia was being sued for making masks optional. Clearly this has nothing to do with the midterm election, does it? GoFundMe now faces investigation from Florida, Texas, Missouri, and West Virginia on the Freedom Convoy donations as they fraudulently ended a fundraising effort aimed at assisting the Freedom Convoy in Canada. This is great. I just love it when Missouri is always in the center of attention when it comes to freedom. When did that happen? Every major news network is condemning the Canadian trucker convoy freedom protest, stating that most people object to the protest. Then why is it that everyone that is interviewed not only supports the protest, but wants to do it for themselves all over the world? Hey Google, how many people support the Canadian protest? I'm sorry, but the Democrat Party does not allow me to answer that question. Canada is reviewing its pandemic-related border restrictions and will likely announce changes next week as the worst of the Omicron variant wave that washed across the shores of the east and through the plains it swept across the west has passed. Canadian's health minister said on Friday, with the worst of it now behind us, our government is actively reviewing measures in place at our border, and we should be able to communicate those changes within the next week. You think the Trucker Freedom Convoy protest had anything to do with this decision? Archaeologists found a location where Jesus walked on water. Not to be outdone, the archaeologist placed a piece of glass just under the surface of water and said, "It's not that hard to walk on water." Testimony from the U.S. Marines cast doubt on the account of Kabul's airport aftermath attack, stating there was no gunfire. What do you mean cast doubt? You mean they were straight up lying. Let's just say what it is. It's what the government does. They don't know how to tell the truth. Remember, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. In a show of superior leadership, 11 Democrat states have made moves to end the mask mandates. Wait, didn't all the Republican states end mask mandates months ago? Where was the leadership then? I'm confused. Biden says the states ending mask mandates is probably premature because he wants the trucker convoy to roll out so he can use his F-16s and nuclear bombs against the truckers. If I can't have a war with Russia, I'm going to have a war with the truckers. Biden said he's done a deep dive on about 4 potential Supreme Court justices after taking a deep smell of their hair. He said it's going to be a difficult decision. They all smell great. FDA votes against Eli Lilly's cancer treatment over concerns trials were conducted only in China because, as you know, we can't have a cure for cancer. There's no money in it. They didn't have a problem funding the Wuhan virus study in China, but now they have a problem with cancer treatments? Yeah, whatever. A Ukraine Olympian displays a sign call for no war in Ukraine. Biden administration immediately called China to take the woman into custody and charge her with treason. Brian Stelter says, "We are deeply concerned that the Freedom Convoy in Canada could spill over into the United States. If the United States would have a convoy, likely this could be the detriment to Biden administration because he'll have to use his F-16s and nuclear bombs." Oh boy. Once again, Trump has destroyed democracy by inflaming his voters. If we see how Justin Trudeau has suffered politically from this convoy, we can only imagine what would happen to our God and King, President Biden. So that's all your news that's not fit to print. Please share this with your friends on other social media sites. Click subscribe to get future updates. Thanks for watching.